As we come to the end of this workshop, I know many of you still feel that you're at the beginning, that you're still building content for your courses and designing and developing your course in your Moodle shell. That is to be expected because this is really all a process. And our hope is that we have given you the overview of all the components that go into a high quality online and hybrid course so that you can make your own decisions about what's right for you and your course and your students. Online course design and development and hybrid course design and development is very, very much a process. We have taken you through this usually 9-month process very rapidly over the past 4 weeks. And it will be really important for you to slow down, reflect, and really decide what's right for your course. This is just a quick look of what the instructional design process typically looks like, from analyzing to doing the design work on paper and then developing course content in the LMS, reviewing it, really checking everything, checking for accessibility, doing some testing of that content, evaluating it, and then sort of starting all over again. Online and hybrid course development is very much iterative. So your process may have looked like this, sometimes it may feel like this, and ultimately we hope that it sort of looks like this, that this is going to be a continual development. As you finish this course development stage and then start teaching the course, you're going to want to make changes and you're going to see things that you will want to do differently next time. And I hope you embrace that because it really is an iterative process. One of the recurring themes of this workshop is that design really is a form of communication, and your design choices that you make in your online and hybrid course, they do everything from help students to navigate and feel comfortable and safe in the spaces that you created to showing students who you are as an instructor. And so every choice you make about where you put text and images on a page and what sort of activities you're choosing, what sort of Moodle tools you're using, all of those choices is a form of communication to your students and is the way that you build that overall course experience and your presence for them. So in our course, we've asked you to do design work on paper to better inform the choices you make when you start building in your Moodle shell. And I hope that you'll continue to consider that process in whatever way it works best for you. Because you can easily make changes on paper or when you're mapping it out for yourself, and it can be a lot more frustrating to make those changes once you've started building within Moodle. Hopefully this is review for you, but I really want to emphasize these final points about your course design choices. It should be as simple as possible. Make your course as simple as possible because good design should be intuitive to navigate and should just feel simple and clean for the user. Consistency is really key to that clean, simple design. Don't worry about feeling repetitive. This can be a good thing in your course. So if you're going to use discussion forums, consider having those happen on a consistent basis. So every week with a due date on the same night of the week or every other week. If you're going to have reading response journals, have those on a consistent schedule, have those recur. That's a really good thing because it helps students plan their time, it helps them know what to expect, and it gives that structure that can sometimes be more challenging in an online or hybrid class. Make sure your course design is inclusive of all learners. Think about the different needs, think about those principles of universal design for learning, and consider representation in your course materials and images and what you're putting out there for your students to be engaging with. And your course design must be accessible to all learners. So your videos need to be closed captioned, your images need to have alt text. The text on the page should have really high contrast, right? Black text on the white page. You now know all of these basics of accessibility, and it's important that you build your course with accessibility in the foundation and the bones of the course. You don't want to go back in and try to make content accessible after the fact. So build an accessible course from the start. Finally, good design is intentional, meaning that it's planned, and human-centered, meaning that it's planned and designed for people. It's people who will be using these courses, and it's important to keep those people in mind as you're designing them and to know who the specific people in your course will be so that you might be able to make choices or modifications based on their specific needs. This goes back to thinking about creating that instructor to student connection and also creating those student to student connections. So your design needs to be intentional and human-centered. Research into student success in online courses tells us that first impressions really do matter. We have to engage students and connect with them from the very beginning of our online and hybrid course experience. I want to go over some strategies for communicating with students early and often, and many of these are not very different from what I would recommend for a face-to-face class. Send a welcome email before the course begins where you tell students important information, send them the syllabus, make sure that they have the materials that they'll need for the course, and just make that early contact with them. I recommend including a pre-course survey along with that so that you can get to know your specific students, their goals, and their needs. And we have examples of pre-course surveys that we're happy to share with you. I like the concept of a preview week. So you can open your Moodle course whenever you want, and you may choose to have the Getting Started section open a few days before the semester begins, even a week before the semester begins, so that the students can access the syllabus, maybe watch your welcome video, or read through your welcome document, and maybe even start participating in an introduction forum. Make sure that you're communicating with the whole class a lot in the first 2 weeks. And then look and use those tools such as the course roster and when students have been logging in to do targeted individual communication to make sure that students know that you're there, you care about them, you're watching them, and that you want to make sure they're logging in and engaging with the course right away. These are the ways that you can teach your students not how to be a student, but how to be a student in your course. So what it means to be a student in your course, what the expectations are, and how students can be successful in your specific course. A Getting Started section or a Start Here or a orientation to this course section that happens right away in your course is really important to communicating these expectations to students and engaging them right from the beginning. So in your Getting Started section, you should introduce yourself, and I encourage you to share your own interests in the subject with students, because that really creates that instructor connection and inspires and motivates them and hopefully piques their curiosity. Allow students to introduce themselves, even if that means an ungraded introduction forum, but that helps to build the sense of community in your class from the beginning. I think a good Getting Started section should have low stakes opportunities for students to use recurring course tools. What I mean by that is if you're going to be having quizzes in your class, then you might want to have a very simple syllabus quiz so that students can practice using the quiz tool. If you'll have discussion forums, then have students practice that. If you'll be using assignments, then have a very simple assignment that students need to submit within that first week of class where maybe they tell you 2 goals they have for the course. Something very simple, but a good Getting Started section should be a very miniature overview of all of the tools that students will need to be successful in that course so that they can practice using them and then they can get help if they have any trouble navigating and using those basic tools of the course. Of course, it's important to convey expectations, so sharing the course schedule and the syllabus, making a syllabus walkthrough video can be really helpful, or a walkthrough of the Moodle site to help students know how to navigate your course. Providing students with BCC support resources, especially those such as the Writing Center or the Tutoring Center that might be important specifically to the course that you're teaching. Giving a space for students to ask questions and responding to those questions, such as a class Q&A forum. And then making sure that your Getting Started section leaves students with clear next steps. Sort of what are they looking forward to? What's happening next in the course? What do they need to do next? We know that this is a daunting process and that you will continue to find new challenges and moments of frustration as you move from designing and developing your course to teaching your course. So please know that we're here for you to reach out as you need anything at all. No question is ever too small or too big, and that you also have each other. You have a lot of colleagues who are going through this exact same process and will be able to share your experiences, offer advice, brainstorm, and offer support. If I can leave you with 2 final thoughts as you move forward with designing and developing and teaching your online and hybrid courses, this is what I want to tell you. For every decision you need to make for your course, consider equity. Think about students who might have had no previous experience with higher education or may have had bad experiences with remote or online learning, and design your course in a way to meet the needs of all learners so that all of your students feel included, represented, welcomed, and wanted into that course and are able to engage with the course content and with each other. Very much related to that, have empathy. Approach your course design and your course decisions with empathy. We hope that by being a student in this workshop, you've had the experience of what it feels like to be in that role. And I'm sure that you've seen things that you liked that we did, and you saw things that you didn't like that we did. And I hope that you will reflect on that experience and bring that understanding to your own students and to your own course design, because there is no one perfect way to do any of this. The best thing that you can do is to know what you really value, to bring that to your students, and to make sure that you create an environment where all students have the opportunity to learn and succeed. As always, you know where to find us. You can email us at moodlehelp@berkshirecc.edu, and we very, very much appreciate all the time that you've put into this workshop and your course design work.